seen it before. It turns truth into lies. Oh, but I won't back down. I must stay on this road. I gotta know what I'm about. Girls have Avengers back down. We're all looking for the moment when getting used to not knowing when all the pieces fall in line. Oh, girls have Avengers back down. I keep searching for signs in my dreams back then. I don't know how to stop, 'cause it brings back the feeling that I can't reach the top now, even if I don't know how. It brings back the feeling that even if it all goes down, in the end I'll be alright. It brings back the feeling. Yeah. It brings back the
So, what are my top 5 books on finding your gifts, purpose, or calling? Welcome, everybody, to this Market Your Message show. If you're here watching us live, this is something we do every single Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern, and hope that you are doing well. Hope you're off to a great start this year. We are broadcasting live in 6 locations across Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And let us know you're here. Take a moment right now and tell us your first name, where you're watching from. And I'm so excited to be jumping into today's topic. So today's topic is all about the top 5 books on finding your gifts, purpose, or calling. I've got the books right here that I'm going to be sharing with you in just a moment. And, to be honest with you, it was really hard narrowing them down. I've got like another 5 books down here that I absolutely love, but I want to just give you kind of the cream of the crop. And maybe you haven't read some of these books. You can put them on your list to read this year. So let us know that you're here and that you are ready to go today. I see we got Steve. He's here from St. Paul, Minnesota. Joey, welcome, Joey. He says, grace and peace. Jonathan, glad that you're here, Joey. And he says, this is going to be a great show because I need to know about these books since my business and ministry is helping people uncover their calling and launch an online ministry. I love that mission that you've got, Joey. That's awesome. We got Fred here from Effingham, Illinois. Enjoying a bright, sunny day, 45-degree temperatures. Yeah, here in Florida, it is 50 degrees right now, Fred. So, you know what? We've got 1 degree on you. That's about it right now. All right. Jim says, from Indiana, trying to stay warm. I hear ya. Joey says that he is from New York. Awesome. Fred shared Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. 3 decades after its publishing, people are still borrowing and trying to improve upon this book. None have matched it yet, in my opinion. I agree. That is an awesome book. In fact, it was one of the first books I would say that I read that wasn't a biography of some kind. I was probably about 19 years old, got introduced to that book. And for a couple years, I read that book every single year. I think it's a great book that helps you learn taking responsibility for your life 100%. And what do the successful people do to accomplish their goals and dreams? I think it's a great book. It's not on my list today for this purpose of really more for calling gifts and purpose, but still a great book for sure. We got Rich here. He's hanging out with us over on Facebook in Michigan. Stephanie is here in Georgia. April says hi from Texas. Glad that all of you are here. And if you're new here watching, let us know that you're new. Just put the word new in the chat. And again, we're broadcasting this in several locations, but it all is consolidating here for me. So if you've never been to the Market Your Message show, essentially what we do is we have a pre-party, we have the content, and then we have a kind of an after party. Pre-party is what we're in right now. In just a minute, I'm going to go through today's topic, do a little bit of teaching and training with you today, give you some value. And then stick around. I'm going to be answering some questions if you've got questions. But before we get started, I also want to let you know about something big that's happening in our community this week only, and it's completely free. It is called the 5-Day Uncover Your Calling Challenge. Now, this 5-Day Uncover Your Calling Challenge is free, and it starts today. So literally at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, in just a couple of hours from me doing this live here with you, I'm going to go live into a private Facebook group. We've already got a couple hundred people in the Facebook group going to go through this challenge. And I'm going to give you one exercise each day over the next 5 days to help you uncover that gift that you have, that unique ability, that calling that you have on your life. And yes, it's going to include exercises from some of the books I'm going to talk about today and many more as well. So I'm really excited about that. If you have not yet signed up, there's still time right now. It's completely free. All you need to do is go to jmill.biz/calling. Jmill is just short, my name, kind of short, jmill.biz/calling. You can sign up. You will get a link to join our private Facebook group. And I'll be going live into that Facebook group every day, Wednesday through Sunday, for 5 straight days at 3 o'clock Eastern. And again, I'm going to be giving you one exercise that you can do each day to help you map out and uncover your calling. So who here is watching right now and you can let us know that you're already in? Like, Jonathan, I'm already in on this challenge. I want to hear from you. Go ahead and let me know that you're in the comments if you would. And so glad all of you are here hanging out with me today. Also, real quick, if you don't yet have my brand new book, Your Message Matters, we do still have some free copies available. So here's the deal. This week, our inventory went down to 0, and we got emails from people saying, Jonathan, it's telling me it's sold out. I really wanted to get a free copy. Well, good news is I have a shipment arriving pretty soon. We have another allotment of books that we're going to be able to send to you. Now, this is only available if you're in the United States. All I ask is that you pay the shipping. So I've purchased the book. So I've purchased a whole allotment of books, really a whole pallet of books from my publisher. And all I ask is you cover the shipping. So you just go to marketyourmessage.com/free book. And you can see here many people who have already got their free book and they are loving it. So again, you can get your free book going to marketyourmessage.com/free book. Awesome. And I see some of you letting me know you're in the challenge that starts later today. Awesome. April says, I'm in the challenge. I expect to do my first assignment after this live. Yes, we're going to be going live here at 3 p.m., but only in the Facebook group, not out here to the public. This is a free private challenge just for our community. We want you to get into this private Facebook group so you can see what other people are saying, get insights and feedback from a community of people. And it's much easier to do that in a Facebook group than in a YouTube Live or even in a broadcasting to a Facebook page. So that's what we are up to. All right. I think we are now ready to go into our topic today, the top 5 books on finding your gifts, purpose, or calling. So if you're ready, let's do this. So, what are my top 5 favorite books on finding your gifts, purpose, or calling? That's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. Hey messengers, welcome to the Market Your Message show. I'm your host, Jonathan Milligan, author of the book, Your Message Matters, How to Rise Above the Noise and Get Paid for What You Know. So glad that you're here with me right now for today's important topic. You see, I firmly believe that if you desire to influence others, you need to first start by uncovering your unique ability, your gifts, how you've been wired, how you were born, quite frankly. I believe your gifts are factory installed. And so you just have to know how to uncover them and find out what's unique about you. In today's show, I want to talk to you about my top 5 favorite books that have helped me uncover my unique gifts, purpose, or calling. And not only that, but if you're like Jonathan, I want to get started on this journey. Maybe you want a blog, you want a podcast, you've been thinking about starting a YouTube channel or doing live streaming. If so, I want to invite you that the best place to start is our blueprint. It's called the Discover Your Message Blueprint. And this is a 9-page guide that really dives more beyond what we're going to talk about today. It dives into purpose, people, and passion. Those are the 3 components you need to nail down to have a powerful message. What's your purpose? Who are you going to serve, your people? And what's your passion? What's the problem you're going to help solve in the world? And this 9-page guide will help you. Just go to marketyourmessage.com/discover and you can get started with this resource today. All right, so I want to talk to you about my top 5 favorite books on finding your purpose, your calling, and even uncovering your gifts. Now, I will say this, okay? As a believer, I am a Christian, and so the Bible would definitely be on this list because I know I'm going to hear from some of you later that may be like, Jonathan, you didn't include the Bible on your list. Well, I don't want to assume that everybody in our audience is a believer. And so I wanted to start by kind of talking about the 5 books outside of the Holy Scriptures that really helped me when it comes to uncovering my gifts, my purpose, and my calling. All right, so we're going to put this, and I really don't have any kind of particular order, but let me just kind of go through these with you. Book number 1, it's an old book. In fact, it's over 100 years old, and it is Acres of Diamonds. Now, Acres of Diamonds is a book that was written by Russell Conwell. Now, Russell Conwell was the founder of Temple University. And before this book was written, this was actually a lecture that he gave to the graduating students of some of the very, very first class of Temple University. In fact, when he traveled back in the early 1900s, he would travel to cities and they would ask him to speak on the topic and the story that he tells inside of Acres of Diamonds. This book was so powerful to me, and there's a lot in here, but in particular, there's a fable, a story that he talks about an African farmer who owned a piece of land. And although he owned lots of farmland, he started hearing about how other people were getting wealthy by mining diamonds. And so he thought, well, I want to be wealthy. I have this land, but I want to be wealthy. I want to be as wealthy as these other people. And so what this farmer did was he sold his land. He took the money from selling that land and went on a journey to go find diamonds. Well, as the story goes, this man ended up broke, despondent, and ended up throwing himself into a river and drowned. Meanwhile, the person who he sold his farm to one day was walking across his land and walked across one of the bubbling brooks and saw something shiny in the river. He thought it was unusual, some kind of precious stone, picked it up and took it back to his house. Later, he discovered by asking around to some other people that what he actually found was a diamond. In fact, as they began to uncover this farmland, they discovered one of the richest diamond mines in all of Africa. Here's the lesson. We think our purpose is in a thing. It's like out there somewhere. It's in a title, it's in a job, it's in a company, but your purpose is not in a thing. Your purpose is actually hidden in plain sight. It's right under your nose. It's who you are and how you show up best for others. And what this book helped me to do was it helped me to decide to stop trying to find my purpose out there and look about what was unique about me. What were my unique abilities and gifts? How did I show up best for others? And that set me on a journey that brought me honestly to where I am today. So first book, Acres of Diamonds. In fact, this book you can find a lot of times for free in PDF format. This is kind of an old version that my wife got for me to kind of celebrate the launch of my new book, because I talk about this story in one of the first chapters in the book and how critical Acres of Diamonds is. All right, book number 2, another one of my favorites, is The Dreamgiver, Bruce Wilkinson. We don't hear this book talked a lot anymore, and it's a shame because this is an amazing book. This book, I think it was written 2006 or 7. It's been a few years, but it's still just as relevant today. This book is another kind of a fable. I love fables that are stories that help us to learn, important life lessons. And so for this book, The Dreamgiver is about a character named Ordinary who lives in the land of familiar. And every day, Ordinary gets up and he goes to his usual job. Once his usual job is over, he heads home and he does what all the other nobodies do. What is it? They sit down and they stare at the box that mesmerizes them. You know what that box is? It's the television. I love the word analogies inside of this book. But in the middle of his ordinary life, Ordinary, the main character of this story, has a dream. This dream shows up. It kind of comes around and it starts to bother him, like there's this dream, this thing that I want to go do, but it means I have to leave the land of familiar. And in order to leave the land of familiar, I got to get past the border bullies and I got to cross the bridge and I got to go over here and out of my comfort zone into where my big dream lives. This is a great story. It's something that can be read in just a couple of hours. I'm not going to ruin all the plot points inside the story, but I highly recommend The Dreamgiver. In fact, I love both these books so much. They both made it into my book, and I tell the most important parts of the story in Your Message Matters. All right, let me know if you those of you who are watching live, by the way, if you're listening to the podcast or you're watching us later on YouTube, we do a fuller version of this show on live stream every single week. And so you can come join us. We do a pre-party. You're watching the content right now, and then we do an after party where I can answer questions. But here is book number 3 that I love, and it's called The Purpose-Driven Life. This is by Rick Warren, and the subtitle is What on Earth Am I Here For? This is a great book. It was a New York Times bestseller for years. And I don't know necessarily where it ranks today, but this book has sold millions of copies. And I just love the format of this book because this book is designed that you can read it within 30 days. And you can do like one little chapter at a time, take it through 30 days and walk through it. So I highly recommend that as book number 3. All right, so what's book number 4? Book number 4 is actually kind of a kit. You get both a book and a workbook. Now, it does cost more than your typical book. If I remember right, it was more like $50 or something to get both of these. But this is from Dan Sullivan. And Dan Sullivan's the founder of Strategic Coach. And this book is called Unique Ability. Now, this one's called Unique Ability 2.0. But this book is designed to go along with this workbook. Now, what I love about this is he incorporates not only some exercises that I've never seen before anywhere else, but he also incorporates some of the more common assessments that maybe you've taken out there. So for example, he encourages people to take Strengths Finder to find out what some of your natural strengths are. He encourages people to take the Covey assessment. You can see out here I've got my markings up if you're watching on YouTube. I've got my markings and stuff from taking the Covey assessment on how we approach work. And there's a lot in this workbook. Now, what can happen sometimes is we do so much work in a workbook, it's so much information that we just get like left on overload. How do I simplify it? And so I will say that I can't say that I did every single exercise in this book, because sometimes it can be a tendency to where it becomes analysis paralysis. Maybe you've been like that, where like, I've taken every assessment out there and I still am like lacking that single focus of what I do best. I get it. All right. Again, all of these are just windows that let some of the light in. It's like a mosaic that we are putting together. So those are 4. And then my last book, I remember I said no certain order. Of course, Your Message Matters. Now, the reason why I wanted to include Your Message Matters, my latest book, is because I synthesize a lot of what I've learned in these other books, and books I frankly didn't mention today, into the first half of this book. My goal of writing my latest book, Your Message Matters, was to create something unique out there. It was to make it a 2-part book. So part 1 of the book is a self-discovery journey. And I think this surprises a lot of people. And this is probably the biggest feedback that I've gotten from people is like, Jonathan, like your book's not just a marketing book. Your book really helped me to like uncover what was unique about my gifts. And it gave me an understanding of who my audience is. And so the first half of this book is really about self-discovery. We're going to help you discover your message, your people, your purpose, and your passion. And then the second half of the book is, what do I do today to rise above all the noise out there and build an audience online? And that's really the practical marketing side of the book. And so there you go. Those are my top 5 books. I hope those were an encouragement to you. And if you haven't read some of those books, or maybe you've read all of them, then if you haven't read any of them, go get a copy of one of those books, and they can be a source of encouragement and help to you this year. All right. Was this topic helpful? I hope that it was. And what would you like for me to cover in future topics? Let me know. But until next time, never forget, your message matters. All right, we're coming back here with you guys live. That was the show content portion. We're now in the after party, so if you're hanging out, you're here with me live. I'm gonna hang around for just a few minutes, and then I gotta go get ready for our first session in our Uncover Your Calling Challenge. By the way, if you weren't with me earlier, you say, what are you talking about, Jonathan? This is what we're up to. Starting today, you can join us for the Uncover Your Calling Challenge. This is a 5-day challenge. It's completely free. You go to jmill.biz/calling, and you will be able to join our private Facebook group where I'm going to be going live starting today, 3 p.m. Eastern, over the next 5 days. And we're going to walk you through everything step by step. In fact, I'll cover some things that are in my book, but I also will be covering some brand new material I've never talked about before. So if you're a regular to hanging out on this live stream, or you're in one of my memberships like Fast Track Lab, you will still learn some new things that you have not learned before. All right, so I'm really excited about that. So if you've got a question right now, just put in the capital letter Q, start your comment or your question with the letter Q, and ask away. Maybe you have a question about one of these books. Maybe you want me to repeat one of these books or tell you a little bit more about one of these books. Or you've got something else. I'm going to be here for the next few minutes. And until I don't really see very many questions, we'll wrap things up today for the show. All right, just checking in with everybody here. Let's see what we got going on here. All right. Somebody said incredible. Obviously, I don't know who that is. You're in probably one of our private Facebook groups. It doesn't share when you're in a private Facebook group. It doesn't share your name, but I think that's awesome. Great content, action steps next, how to make the first steps. I know you're putting that together, so thanks in advance. Yes, I am. If you're talking about the challenge, we're going to have like an activity every day, a little bit of a worksheet that I'm going to give you to work on each day. It's going to be a lot of fun. Joey, can you show us? Oh, the other 5 books. Yeah, I've got them on the floor here. Hold on a second. All right. Joey called me out. I said I had them, so here's proof that I have them. All right. So this first book, it's just more unique. It's a little bit different, but I like it. It's called Business Model U. And the idea is it's based off a book that's called The Business Model Canvas. So you can see it's a different kind of format. It's very colorful. It's got, some exercises in here. And it's really designed to like create like your personal business model on a single sheet of paper. So there's some neat exercises and things in here. There's an exercise or 2 in here that I think I'm going to be incorporating into our 5-day challenge. But that's one of them, Business Model U. And it's written by a whole group of authors, but primarily Tim Clark. So there's that. I'm running out of space over here on my desk. Another one that I liked is the Berkman Method. Now, you want to take the assessment before you dive in the book. I mean, you can dive into the book. It's helpful. But the Berkman Method is the first personality test I ever took that gave me a notebook back about myself. I mean, literally, there's like 100 pages for you to go through. And primarily when you take it with kind of with a coach in a way, some certified Berkman Method consultant. And there's some really cool resources. There's a portion of this that I'm going to be talking about in our upcoming challenge. Another great book is from Johnny Moore. Now, this is more Christian based, so primarily for a Christian audience, but it's called What Am I Supposed to Do with My Life? See if I can focus it in there. There you go. What am I supposed to do with my life? Johnny Moore. Found some really great quotes and insights that I marked up inside of this book, so I thought that was really good. This one is called Work Reimagined. Work Reimagined. This is by Richard Leader and David Shapiro. And this book has some cool exercises in it too, really helping you to kind of reimagine and understand the difference between a job, a vocation, and a calling. So there's that book. And then the last one, this one's beat up a while, but this was a book that was really helpful to me back in 2002, 2003. Many of you know my story that I was a high school teacher for the first 3 years after I graduated from college. And then I decided not to renew my teaching contract. Didn't know what I was going to do. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so I landed a call center job. Well, this book that I'm holding here, I would take with me to my call center job. So when I had breaks or had some extra time, I could dive into it. And it's a workbook, and it's from John Maxwell called Your Roadmap for Success. You can see it's kind of beat up. It's beat up, but with tender love and care. You can see this is a lot of my highlights and writing during that time. It was fun a couple days ago to go back and read it, since it's, literally like 17 years ago. What was I thinking? Where were some of my thoughts? There's even this cool pull-out roadmap in the back of the workbook. And there were some cool things here that I wrote that I thought was pretty neat to look at. One of them is I said I wanted to be a licensed business coach by the time I was 30 years old. That was by 2006. So here I was, in my 20s trying to figure things out, didn't know what I wanted to do. This was a helpful book. It had some insightful questions in it. What is success? Where would I like to go? How far can I go? How do I get there from here? So great book. So there you go. There's the other 5 books. So you get a bonus by hanging around in this live stream show where the podcast listeners and people watching the YouTube video later won't get this part because this will be edited out. Awesome. Brian, do those strength finders and Covey help to discover your calling? Somewhat. So strength finders is a very helpful assessment. So what Strength Finders is, there's a book called Strength Finders, but when you buy the book, you get code to take the test. Now, what the test is going to do is it's going to identify what your top 5 strengths are from like a list of like 30 to 40 strengths. And it's going to identify your top 5. That's really, really helpful because it really helps you to identify what are my natural strengths, right? And so that part was super helpful for me. Covey, however, is a little bit different. So what the Covey does is it's an assessment that you can take and it gives you results in 4 areas. Covey is more about how you approach projects and work is the way I like to define it. It's more about like, are you more of an idea guy, visionary, or are you more just a doer? Are you more related to like a fast action taker? So you like want to take action quickly, or do you more gather a lot of research and facts before making a decision? And one of the main ways that Covey can be helpful is in helping build a team. So when I took the Covey, I also had people on my team take the Covey assessment, because what you don't want is you don't want a team where everybody has kind of the same Covey. Like, I can be a fast action taker. I need people on my team who are more researchers, or maybe they're almost a little bit of the devil's advocate, because I can have a tendency to overextend myself and jump into more than I need to be doing. And I need somebody in my business who's kind of bringing me back a little bit and helping me not to get overextended. So that's where Covey A, is what it's called, the Covey A assessment, can be helpful. Great questions. Fred, the unique ability books, are those part of a course? They're not a part of a course, but if I found it on Amazon, they kind of come together. You can, now I will say this, they're a part of their coaching program. So, the coaching program's probably more in the thousands of dollars. And so they have everybody go through this for their strategic coach program. But you can just purchase the books. That's where I got it off Amazon. I think it was around $50 for the whole thing. Grace says, good morning. Sorry I'm late. You're not late. You just missed a little bit, but that's okay. We're glad that you're here, and you can always go back and watch this from the beginning. Faye, can you talk more about purpose-driven life? It's on my list to read. In the middle of reading Your Message Matters right now, which is an excellent book. Thank you, Faye. Yeah, I certainly can. So where is it here? All right, so Purpose-Driven Life. It's kind of a big book. It's a great resource. And it's actually a 40-day. Sorry, I said 30-day. It's actually 40-day. So the beginning of the book says, this is more than a book. It's a guide to a 40-day spiritual journey that can enable you to discover the answer to life's most important question. What on earth am I here for? So the way that it's designed is, and I know you can't see this, but there are basically 40 chapters. And so you read a chapter a day for 40 days. And yeah, it's a great book. Now, it is going to be more on spiritually related. As many of you know, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. So if you're not a believer, I don't want you to be shocked by kind of the biblical based approach. But I will say that the author does a really good job of not imposing or forcing any kind of Christianity or religion on you. But it's just a really good book. And it's been a New York Times bestseller list. So it has reached beyond, people who are considering themselves to be churchgoers into a greater community out there, because it is just foundational principles and truth that are good for us to live by. Awesome. All right, so as we're wrapping things up, I'll try to take maybe one or two more questions, but I want to know your takeaway. What is your single most important takeaway from hanging out with me today? Let me know before we wrap things up. I would like to know what that is for you. So maybe it's one of these books. Like Jonathan, my takeaway is to go order one of these books. So let me know what your takeaway is. Just put the capital letter T at the beginning of your statement so I can read off a few takeaways. Joey, do you know of any free gift assessments? Good question. Off the top of my head, I do not. We have a free assessment that's more for people who consider themselves to be like influencers. So if they want to write, teach, speak, or coach, you can go to yourmessagemattersbook.com and there's a free, we call it quiz, but it's a free quiz that helps people find out, are they more of a writer, teacher, speaker, or coach? So that's something kind of unique that we have. As far as other things out there, there's different things. Like there's the Enneagram. That's been really helpful to me. I did not talk about the Enneagram today. I could have brought that as one of the books, to be honest. There's a book from Ian Cron called The Road Back to You. I think that's a great book. It really kind of dives into the 9 types of the Enneagram. But yeah, that's to me. Some thoughts off the top of my head. All right, let's read some takeaways. We'll wrap things up today. Brian says, takeaway, get all 5 books. Awesome. Another takeaway is don't let COVID stop me. Absolutely. You should not. And let's see, Fred, I need to reread Purpose Driven Life. Yes, that is a good book worth rereading, especially with it having kind of a 40-day format. You can just decide, I'm going to read a chapter a day the next 40 days, and maybe you'll pull out something new, fresh and new that you didn't read before. Awesome. And I see so many other takeaways. Thank you guys for being here. All right. So I got to get ready because literally in an hour and a half, I'm going to be live for day 1. Again, if you missed it, we are starting today, Wednesday through Sunday, the next 5 days. I'm calling the 5-day Uncover Your Calling Challenge. And so you can join this. It's completely free. We may charge for something like this in the days ahead. Maybe the next time we do it, I don't know, because we're just bringing so many exercises and worksheets and value. We could easily charge for this, but this is completely free. And really the reason I'm doing this is because I want to help those of you who had a difficult 2020. Maybe things didn't go the way that you'd planned, to kick off this year by starting where I think is the best place to start. Knowing what is unique about you. What's your unique ability? What is your natural gifts? How do you show it best for others? That's where we're going to help people unpack. We've already got a few hundred people that have signed up in this challenge. They're in the Facebook group. You need to go to jmill.biz/calling. jmill.biz/calling. And there you go. All right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you guys for being here. And if you're a part of the challenge, we'll see you at 3 p.m. Eastern. Take care, everybody, and have an awesome day. Bye-bye.